Okay, so I want to talk about the middle right now. I want to talk about the middle. Um, I'm 48. I'll be 49 in September. The first time I voted for president was Clinton in 1992. And I was with my son's father at the time. I was young. I was only like I was 21. I was 21. Yeah, I was born in 1971, so I was 21 in 1992. And I asked. I was always. I mean, I'm not an idiot or anything. I'm not. I was actually very smart, but I wasn't politically very smart. But I had at that time I was working in a restaurant where I had to be at work at 6 a.m. and I had discovered NPR and I really loved it and I would listen to it. Anyway, my son's dad told me, I was like, what political party am I? And he said, you're a Democrat. Like, all the cool people are Democrats, which I am not endorsing that. So, not that very many people watch this, so probably okay. What? Because I'm talking about the middle. So, I was in my 20s for that, and I loved Clinton, and I was kind of like, this is why I relate to the people who are like Trump or die. I mean, I wasn't like Clinton or die or anything. I definitely, I mean, Clinton, definitely establishment Democrat. Now I can see those things better, but Trump is a shit show. So whatever. But I did stick with Clinton the whole time. I was in my 20s. I liked him, and it didn't matter to me that he had an affair. I wished he didn't do it. And I was so mad that he did it and, like, in my opinion or my view at the time, like, gave the Republicans fire. Like, that made me mad. I mean, I was mad about that. Whatever. And then Bush and 9/11 and Obama. Okay, so let's get to Obama. So Bush at the time seemed like, I hated him and I thought he was just so not well spoken and so this channel is about the truth and the 9/11 story that the media fed us isn't the truth, and if you're not down with that, that's fine. Finding out the truth is a personal endeavor, and I'm not here to try to convince anyone of anything. I tried to do that before, way back when. It doesn't work. You gotta want to know the truth, and then you go looking for it, and you find it. It's hard because there's so much propaganda and absolute social conditioning going on with major media news outlets and all kinds of other stuff for many, many years, for decades. And that is just a thing, and you can find that out if you want to, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine, honestly. But for me, I was super stoked on Obama, his first term, because Bush, to me, was not a very well-spoken man, and then, like, I knew that the wars weren't with going to Iraq and all of that stuff, despite the fact that 9/11 happened, and I actually totally bought the story of the terrorists and stuff. And if you don't, fine. I have a googly eye that my sister gave me, and I just pulled it off, and I'm going to stick it on my computer. I'm going to stick it over here. And I just happened to find it on the floor. But that story, the mainstream media narrative that we got fed about 9/11 is not the truth. So you go find that out for yourself if you're interested. If you're not, I wouldn't even think that you would even come across this channel, because why would you? Because this is like super obscure, which is totally fine with me. Anyway, Obama. So when Obama came into office, we had the Great Recession, and 2008 happened, and that was building up because banking rules the world. The bankers rule it. And so I was excited about Obama. I voted for him. He seems so, like, well-spoken. I still like him. Like, I don't not like him. It's hard to, well, unless you're on a certain side of the spectrum politically, it's hard to not like Obama. But I became disillusioned because he instilled all of the people from the banking crisis and all of the people who, the bankers rule the world. Clinton, which I didn't know this until like this month, I think, and I don't know where the quote is. I'd have to confirm it, but I read a quote that said that where Clinton said, "There's a government within the government, and I don't run it." And that's the truth. And so, like, I was going to say a lot, but then I said a large, so it's turned into a large um, proponent of the American government is the bankers, because they're just squeezing money out. Like, so you can do research and find that out too. Wall Street on Parade is a good source. It's not what it seems. So when Obama put all those same people into positions of influence and power in the government to solve the financial crisis, I was like, that's it. I became so disillusioned, and that's one of the things that led me to Seeking the Truth and other stuff and other people in my life who already knew those things, and we talked about it and whatever. He did. So yes, Obama, honestly, I do believe, is a compassionate, caring human being. But like Clinton said, there's a government within the government and I don't run it. There's a government within the government and Obama didn't run it. And so those people came in and did what they did, and they didn't help out Main Street at all. Like, at least during this coronavirus crisis, I almost said vices, got the $1,200, which is not a lot. I always got to work throughout this whole time because I'm essential, so I'm okay. I don't know what I worked in restaurants my whole life until I worked in retail. I work in retail now for the last like 3.5 years. And if I had still worked in restaurants, I mean, it would fucking suck. I think about the people I know that work in those businesses, and at least we got the $1,200, but you know, this is a different kind of crisis. Like after 9/11, after 9/11, they wanted us all to shop and be together. There was no social distancing, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about after the recession, which actually didn't really affect me either. I had different life circumstances at the time, and I didn't have like a ton of money or anything. It's like that. I just had a boyfriend, and we had a steady source of income. So I was really disappointed in that, and I didn't vote for him the second time. And now, so this is back to talking about the middle. So there's this, I mean, it's not that I don't dig it, because I really, really dislike Trump. I really dislike him. Like, he's a sick man emotionally. He's definitely not a Christian. And that's so obvious to me anyway, but like members of my family who have considered themselves Christians. And you know what? I'm like a reluctant Christian, because I grew up with it and I felt it when I was young. Like, I remember I felt it and I believed it, and then I went away from it because I was like, that's not true. Like, the cat would like attention. I was like, I finally got to a point, because of a lot of stuff that happened to me in my life, where I was like, I don't believe that Jesus came here to die so that everybody could just say, like, I'm saved now, Jesus died. And that's like super in a nutshell, but there are a lot of Christians who basically think that. And, shit. I was talking about something. Christianity, Trump, I guess. So that's like with Trump. So like I became disillusioned. So like I'm not the person who's saying like Democrats are right and Republicans lie. Like I'm left leaning for sure. Definitely more like I want to take care of people, and I think we could, and I don't necessarily think socialism is bad, but like obviously not if it becomes like we are socialist, we are instituting socialism. I think there are ideas in that philosophy of government, I guess, that are good, that we have enough to take care of each other and blah blah blah. Like that's a definite fucking thing. But there's about the middle, like I became disillusioned with Obama. I didn't vote in 2016 because I did not want Hillary Clinton. I liked Bernie, and he got shafted, and it happened again. I definitely believe that he would have won or come really close, and the establishment corporate Democrats can't do it. And so many people, like the majority of the public, don't understand that that's what's going on with them, that they are corporate owned, corporate bought, and it's like just the way things are with them. Like, that's just how it goes. Like, yeah, they have like better policy ideas, I guess, if you're a liberal than like the Republicans, but good lord, what's happened to them? Like, that is a whole but I have cred. I am credible because I'm not like Democrats are the answer and Republicans are not the answer, or Republicans are the answer and Democrats aren't. Like, that's the whole fucking bullshit that is dividing us so much. Like, to truly become open-minded about all this stuff, like, for instance, I find myself reading stuff all the time that I agree with what's being said, and then I'll find out, like, they'll say something like, and it's oftentimes like not religious based websites, but there's somewhere in there where they, talk about being a Christian, but they're talking about policy stuff and different things and corruption, but then they devolve into, but the Democrats are lying. And I feel the same way when I read something or hear something. Like, I love the Young Turks and stuff, but the Republicans are lying. Actually, the Young Turks calls out Democrats that are corporate Democrats. So, but they also kind of like follow the narrative. But being in the middle, right? So it's really hard right now because I am 49 in September. So I remember Carter barely. I was a kid, but apparently I loved him. Even though my family was Republican, I loved Jimmy Carter. When I was a little kid, his ads. Then I remember Reagan because he was around for my entire high school teenage years. So he was like I didn't have a dad, I didn't have stability, I've talked about that, so I didn't have any of that, and Reagan was the guy. But I do remember Iran-Contra, and I don't remember knowing, obviously, what it really meant. Then Bush won, and then Clinton, and that's when I voted my first time, and I was super excited to vote. And even at his second term, I wasn't like I wanted to say like hip to it, if that sounds stupid, but it's true. Like, I wasn't really hip to just the corruption that is within both parties and systemic in our government. It just is. So I was totally like, I was like, basically, I guess the point of that is that I was like a lot of people are for Trump, or a lot of people are now for the past Obama. Like, he's my guy. Like, he's my team. And why? I seriously was like, why would anybody be Republican? We're so much cooler. But when I got older and I started like paying attention to things, I realized that it's actually the banking people who are in control, and there's like more to it than that. That's kind of simplistic, but to say the banking people, because who are they? You'd have to break that down into a lot of different things. But divide and conquer is definitely on the table. So they want to divide and conquer us all. And that's why I think it's so interesting when I find myself reading something where I'm like, absolutely, and then they say something like super like pro-Trump Republican, and I'm like, what? Or because the thing is that there are good ideas on both sides, because together it makes a whole society. But I am not in any way a proponent of Donald Trump. I'm not at all stoked on Biden. He's just a corporate Democrat. But I don't actually think that he's got like a fundamental flaw in his character. He will do the things that Donald Trump is doing. Like, it's obvious, and if you can't see it, then you're probably not watching this. Because Donald Trump is sick. He got jacked up by his parents and society and turned into a monster. He's a freaking monster. I mean, he's been accused of so much sexual misconduct, and like, I'm just not even gonna go into it, because He is. So, but that doesn't mean that Joe Biden is like the savior. I would rather have him than Trump, but he's just going to go back to the status quo of like banks and the 1%, which is such a cliche. I know, like, Occupy Wall Street and all that. And it's awesome, actually. I think that it's a real thing. I mean, I think that we should. I think that the banking system is, like, so corrupt. So it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or a Republican in office, it's corrupt because they are basically like minions to their banking corporation criminal cartel overlords, and they just do what they say. And that's being in the middle because they're like, you can be like, yeah, I mean, I feel like you can find that out for yourself. But anyway, that's all I guess I wanted to say. It's not the left or the right. It's a combination of both of those things. There are good things in both of them, but we have been so divided that you will look at the left if you're on the right and be like, it's evil. And you'll look at the right if you're on the left and be like, it's evil. When in actuality, there are like functions of both of these ideologies without the extremes that basically are just like being human. So we're being divided. And so that's my talk on the middle. And I mean, probably everybody, I feel like anybody who's looking for the truth right now knows that we are divided. And divide and conquer is the deal. And it's all about money, power, and control. It's not like I do think there are conspiracies and all kinds of crazy shit happening, but you can, like, to make it more palatable and accessible, all you have to say is they just want all the money and all the power and all the control. And that's been the thing for the entire history of humanity. There are just people who want money, power, and control because it feels good to them. So, okay. June 15th. So, it's going to be a weird week, I think. And anyway, I will talk to you later. Middle. Be in the middle. Okay, bye.